Okay, guys, let's talk about the brain, and precisely we're going to look about is the mind. You have probably heard about the conscious and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is where you have your present awareness. This is where it's all about your logical thinking, your reasoning. But it's the conscious choice that you make. But guess what? It operates around 5% of the time, while the subconsciousness dominates the mind and it takes the lion's share of that big 95% of operation, and it runs on autopilot. And very often it overruns our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Your subconsciousness is where your habits and all your emotional responses and beliefs lives. And this is a big deal as it will determine your daily life and future. Your subconscious brain has been programmed in your prime childhood from birth until 7 to 8 years old. During that time, we record everything. Tells you a lot about the key role of parenting. Now, if we agree that we are energetic beings, and what I mean by that is we are bioelectric beings, as cells in our body generate electricity, which generates a field around us. Without that electrical energy, we would have no more life. Now, how you think and how you feel is going to broadcast as an electromagnetic signature that influence every single cell and atom in your life, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. As we grow through life, we constantly have experiences every day, and those experiences are physically affecting our bodies in our world. Most people live their life in a habit, and a habit is achieved through repetition. That repetition is often a record of the past. They often think the same thought, they perform the same action, they live the same emotion, and live that on autopilot. Now, if this pattern of repetition is helpful to you, and it is productive and help you to achieve your goals and purpose, and bring the best version of you, then that's great. But for most people, they are not achieving their goals they want. Life is a drag every day. They are in a cycle of reproduction of the same limiting belief, the same negative thoughts and same negative pattern, and yet they secretly and hoping that things will change. You probably heard this. I think, therefore I am. In Latin is cognito ergo sum, which was coined by the French philosopher René Descartes. I think, therefore I am. How we think, how we act, and how we feel create who we are, creates our personality, and that personality creates and reflects our unique personal reality. Sure, we need to have hope, but imagine if we think around 70,000 thoughts a day, and scientists have found that 90% of that is the same thoughts that we have had the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that, and you get the gist of that. And on top of that is you've been sabotaged by your subconsciousness, which is controlling 95% of your life. So you're creating the same past experiences with the same thoughts, the same emotion, leading the same behaviors, and day in and day out. You're fixed in the same pattern, and you expect and hope that your life, your reality will change. In many ways, that's what makes change difficult. The question is then how to change. So this is a journey, and that journey is about clearing the subconsciousness, those limiting beliefs and those destructive emotions, and reprogramming those is key. And that reprogramming involves, again, repetition. As repetition earlier was about repetition of the negative, you have to have the repetition of the positive in your mind. But the first key step, and the first and foremost step, is to take a deep breath and make a really powerful intention that you really want to change. Then making the choice that you would want, desire of your future. What kind of future you see yourself and visualize yourself in that future is really key. That will require repeated meditation visualization. Now, you can say to me that, Riyadh, I've tried this, I'm doing my meditation and all of that, but I'm still stuck. Nothing is really working. And you hear a lot of that. Nothing is really changing. Well, things take time, but I do get you what you mean. We can really accelerate time and buy that time. There are many professionals who can do that and help you with that. But here's the thing. Very often it requires an emotional diagnosis and then an emotional surgery finding those imbalances and removing them. That is those imbalances, those emotions are stopping and pulling you down. Well, I'm not trying to scare you here. A better wording for that is very often used is to have an emotional release or an emotional clearance, which is something which is non-invasive and very often is done at the comfort of your couch, cutting that low vibrational emotional attachment to the parental, historical, generational heritage and those you have nurtured on a daily basis. So that when you imagine or when you think of those stories that are affecting you, those negative thoughts that is haunting you, then when you look at them, it is something that you can only look from a distant past, take lesson from, and not being emotionally attached to it and not being overwhelmed, and again be on autopilot. And this is then that can help you to engage in the process of forgiveness if there has been any trauma, and it gets a bit easier in that process, and that raises your vibration to a higher emotion like love, appreciation, gratitude. So clearing the subconsciousness is really key and can turn your limiting belief and empower you and is a real game changer for anyone. And this is really key for top performers as you get this giant resource of this 95% of your mind, of your brain, the subconsciousness to work in line with your desired goals and help you to achieve what you want. I hope you enjoyed that. Watch my next coming video. My best, Riyadh.